Welcome everyone. We're going to start in a couple of minutes just to give people time to sign in.
Hey, Barbara, you want to take either the Q&A or the chat?
Yeah, I can. Whoa.
A couple of minutes just to give people
I can take the chat. Does that work?
Okay.
Great.
And Priya, I'll probably, just so my typing's not going crazy in there, I'll mute. Okay. And almost 100 people in here already.
Wow.
Wow. Welcome.
And Priya, you got the slide deck, right? Are you in there?
I do. I'm in there. While we're getting started, share where you're visiting from, where you're joining us from, what do you teach? I'm really excited that we've got so many people in here. It's awesome. We've got San Francisco, North Carolina, Denver, New York, Texas, Minnesota, New Jersey, Ohio,
The
DC.
Bahamas.
Ooh, the Bahamas, yeah.
Mhm.
Boston, nice. Awesome, so we're gonna get started in just a minute. Barbara, do you see the poll?
I do.
Yay, you get to be the poll person.
All right. Teamwork.
Teamwork. All right. Wow, we've got 121 people here. That's really exciting.
Oh, Priya.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Yes,
That's
you are right, Anna. You read my mind. If someone does not see the poll, that's okay. It has not been launched yet. I was just thinking ahead, so don't worry. All right, so we're gonna get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Priya. I work with the Certified BrainPOP Educator community in the Department of Professional Learning at BrainPOP. When I was in the classroom, I loved BrainPOP so much, and the movies were my favorite thing. And I'm always excited to share the things that you can do beyond the movies. Because there's just so many things. And today is a little bit unique because we're not talking about how you can use BrainPOP beyond the movies and quizzes in your classroom. We're talking about how you can use BrainPOP beyond movies and quizzes in your virtual classroom, which is really exciting. And I'm joined here with Robert and Barbara. They are fellow BrainPOPers. Maybe you can introduce yourself, Barbara and Robert.
Barbara, you want to go?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Barbara. I'm the Director of Professional Learning. I get to work with this wonderful team and on many things right now, really focusing on webinars and content to really support you guys while we all navigate this uncharted territory of distance learning. For many of us, anyway, for me. Before that, I was a special education teacher for 10 years, and much like Priya, BrainPOP was pretty central to my classroom. So really excited to get to help you all learn more during this time.
Awesome.
Robert?
Yeah. And I am Robert Miller. I'm what they call the lead learner for BrainPOP. I go off and you do professional development at schools, go into classrooms, do workshops. But now, yeah, all of us are pretty much, at our home desk, sharing and presenting. So definitely another mode to share resources and ways. My background is I was a 4th and 5th grade teacher. I am presenting here remotely from my home in Florida. So I'm in Daytona Beach, Florida. So, and I taught 4th and 5th grade here.
Awesome. So we're going to get started. I'm just going to share my screen with you here. Some of you have said that this is your, for some of you, it's your first webinar. So I'm really excited that we get to be a part of this new journey with you. So for those of you who are interested in participating and asking questions, you can definitely do that in the chat. So Barbara and Robert are fielding the questions in the chat and in the Q&A as well. And I will definitely try to keep an eye on it, or they'll just like let me know, and we'll make sure that you get all the information that you need. And so if you want to know where that Q&A is, it's right over here. It's this little icon at the bottom, and then the chat is down there too. And if you don't have a question and you just want to say hello, or maybe pay us a compliment, you can do that as well. Totally. Or if you have ideas of your own, while you're doing this, it might spark some ideas. And so if you have ideas to share, or something that you've tried in your classroom that really works well, we've got this community, and for this next 45 minutes of 121 people who are interested in distance learning for K2. So definitely share your ideas in that chat. All right, so we talked about who's in the room in terms of us on our end, but I'd really like to learn more about who is on the other end. So Barbara just
poll is launched.
Yes, Barbara launched the poll. Woo. So you can go ahead, successfully launched.
Yeah.
So if you could go ahead and answer that, it'll give us a better sense of who's in the room, this virtual room, and hopefully we can use that to tailor what we showed you today.
Some of you may not be able to see the poll. Down at the bottom of your screen, in the bottom black bar in the middle, it should say poll. If you click on that, it should bring it to the top.
Awesome. We've got votes coming in. And also just make sure that you answer all the questions before submitting, because that'll send it all over to us.
I'm going to give you like a couple of minutes to do that, because I know some of you are still looking for the poll. I've also heard a pro tip from the last webinar. If you just kind of like shake your mouse a little bit, sometimes it just appears. And this is a hunch, but not based on experience. I wondered in the last one if it's like hiding behind another window. So, so those are some suggestions if you can't find it.
We have about 40% of folks weighing in. I also know folks are coming in, sort of rolling in as time permits, because we're up to about 145 attendees now. So take another minute or two, but definitely seeing that we've got a good quarter of you are just brand new to BrainPOP. Many of you have taught with the videos before. Some of us, about 9 or 10 of us, have used the interactive and creative tools, so that's great. If you've got any thoughts on sharing any of your experiences, please pop them into the chat.
We've got 3 parents.
Yeah. Yes, parents. Large number of K-2, which makes sense for BrainPOP Junior. Lots of classroom teachers. We are here for you. Some tech specialists. And unsurprisingly, 99% of our schools are closed. And really, it'll take about just another 30 seconds. We have about 50% of people in. And again, it's just to get a sense of who's in the room and how we can speak to what you might need. If you don't see the poll, I see Deanna. Again, just check down on the bottom where it says polling. Click on that button. All right, I'm going to wrap up the poll. It's been about 3 minutes.
Thank you, Barbara.
Got it.
Thanks. All right. So, how do I end the poll?
You want me to end it?
Oh yeah, there we go. Wait, sorry. Done. Yeah, done. All right, so the poll is ended, and now you can see all the results. And And so we've got, not surprising that we have a large number of K-2 interest here. And I'm actually really happy to hear that majority of you have taught with the videos, and not very many of you have used the interactive tools, because that means that after today, you will walk away with learning at least something new. So that is awesome, because that's what we're going to focus on today. So that is a great segue into our interactivity tools. This is a example of the tools and features that are offered on BrainPOP. And so for some of you, there are a couple of media specialists and tech integrators in the room. And so if you have BrainPOP at your school as well, you'll be familiar with this. So the movie is what sounds like is the most popular and the most loved right now in this room. But there are all these other things that you can do with the movies, with the topics rather, beyond the movies. So on BrainPOP, we've got creativity tools and interactivity and interactive resources. And on BrainPOP Junior, and we're going to dive deep into the site to show you where to find them and what they look like. But this is what it looks like on BrainPOP Junior. There's, wordplay, which has a focus on vocabulary building, and we've got different activities and flashwords. So this is just a quick image to show you. And all of these fall under 3 categories. So tools and features that you use to consume content. So the movies, the related reading, the primary sources. If some of you are joining us from our last webinar, we talked a little bit about that. That's what you use to really just consume. You watch the movie, you read the related reading. There isn't an engagement component, but you are building the foundation of background knowledge and activating prior knowledge. And then we have aspects of BrainPOP that you can engage with, like the challenge and activities. And then finally, once you've done that, you can create a project on BrainPOP to show what you know. And that project can be made through our Make a Movie. Students can make their own BrainPOP style movie to show what they know about a topic. Or they can do a coding project to show what they know about a topic, or make a concept map. So we are going to explore a few of those today. There is a lot to explore, and it is going to be a lot today, but we have webinars scheduled for the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested in learning more about something specific or a specific topic, definitely keep an eye on our registration page for that. So we're going to go, and I wanted to show you this because our Discover, Play, Create framework also fits into the Bloom's taxonomy framework. So when students are watching the movie, they're remembering content, and then eventually they're engaging with content, and then creating and producing their own original work to demonstrate understanding of what they learned. And to do all of these, you have to have an individual account set up. And I don't want you to worry about right now, like the logistics of how to do that, because really the purpose of today is just an overview to show you what can be achieved. And we will revisit the slide to talk about next steps in terms of logistics. But just to kind of like give you a heads up, if you do have Google Clever, or you use an LMS, you can set up your individual accounts through that if you are an existing BrainPOP subscriber. If you are new, so and I noticed in the poll, there are many of you who are brand new to BrainPOP, and if you found BrainPOP through that free BrainPOP registration page, and you're a subscriber now through that free page, you're going to use a CSV or code to set up your individual accounts. And when I show you the teacher dashboard, I'll explain what that means. But let's just jump right into the BrainPOP site. So right now I'm in BrainPOP, but I'm going to go now into BrainPOP Junior. And so the topic that I'm going to go into, Earth Day, is coming up April 22nd. You might want to get your students excited about Earth Day as well, even from a distance. We're still all connected. And so we're going to go into recycle, reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this is the movie that we have on reduce, reuse, and recycle. And this is probably what you're most familiar with when you use BrainPOP. So there's a couple of things that I want to show you about the movie itself before we start playing around with some of the activities. You can print Annie's notebook. So if you've watched a BrainPOP movie, in BrainPOP Junior, Annie has pause points built into the movie where she'll stop and ask a question, and then on the notebook on the side, the question will appear. So you can actually print that and see what those questions are, and you can encourage your students to submit their answers back to you. Or if you're a parent and you're working with your child, because there are a couple of parents in the room, this is what you can use as a guide to engage in conversation with your child while you're watching a BrainPOP movie. And then you can also print the transcript for teachers if you want to pull language from the BrainPOP movie for your assignments. That's available as well. So once you watch the movie, we've done our discover, and now we want to play. So what we can do is we can do wordplay. So wordplay is all about vocabulary building, like I mentioned before. So we are looking at words that have been pulled from the movie. And so some of these words might be hard, disposable, depending on the grade level that you're working with. So you can actually turn the sound on, and Annie,
Disposable.
that was louder than I expected it to be. But
Reduce.
yeah, so Annie will
Conserve.
read the words out loud, and then you can turn sound off. And this exists throughout BrainPOP Junior. So if you have little ones who are playing around on their own, you can have that toggled on so that they can play around with it. Now, if you're a teacher and your students have individual accounts set up and they're working in a class, you can hit assign over here. And now this will go to a class. So this class, I'm in a different school right now. I'm in the ELL school. So this actually test class doesn't have any students. It'll tell me, but if it did have students, I could select it to I could select the entire class or an individual student, let them know when it's due, and then I could assign this to them, and they will get that at home to submit back. And you might be wondering, like, okay, but like, what exactly are they doing with the vocabulary words? So if they click into the vocabulary word, this is what wordplay is. You can draw out the word. So the word is conserve, to save or protect from loss or harm. So students can then draw something that illustrates this word. Or maybe they can, if you're thinking about like, how do I conserve energy at home? How do I conserve water at home? They can draw a picture of a way that they conserve at home. And then it says, use this word in a piece of writing. So if you are a parent working with your child, depending on the age level, you can talk to them about how to use it in a sentence and potentially scribe for them. But this is just a way to really think about how that word is used in a context. And then act it out is where you create a script with that word in it. And I always think it's fun to, like, after writing the script, to actually act it out, because in that way you're saying the word out loud in a sentence, or you're taking a risk with the word, and it'll give you a better sense of, if you're using it correctly or not, and you can really practice it. So that's the act it out. So this is all in wordplay, and you can do that for every single word. And then if we go back into our activities. So I'm still playing around. Draw about it is, so within wordplay, there was a draw about it, but you could also just click that directly. So it says, find an old item in your class or home. How can you reuse it? So if you, again, as a teacher, you can assign this to your students and have them draw something and submit it back to you. Or if you're a parent, you can think about what is something in your home that you've reused recently, and you can draw a picture. And then we're going to go back to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And then I always think of write about it as very similar to the write about it in wordplay, with just a little bit more structure. So the write about it in wordplay was just like, use this word in a sentence. But if you feel like your students, or if you're looking at the assignment builder and you want to assign something specific, you feel like they need more structure, we have write about it over here. So what can you do to reduce, reuse, and recycle at school or at home? So when you hit start, the words, the vocabulary words are here on the side. And if you click them, the definition pops up there too. So if you really want to encourage students to use those vocabulary words, they're here as a little reminder. And you also have a writing prompt for this one. And again, I know it's a lot all at once. And so that's why when we're done today, just really play around with it. That's the best way to learn. But today is just to give you an idea of how you can go through the Discover, Play, Create pathway using this lesson on recycle, reduce, reuse. So I've now watched the movie, I've played the game, or not played the games rather, but I've engaged with the content, I've drawn a picture, written a sentence, talk about it as an activity. So this one's loading. Brainstorm items that can be recycled. So this is something as a parent that you can do at home with your child as well. And as a teacher, you can assign that to your students. And I'll show you what that looks like in your teacher's dashboard. And now finally, let's go into create. So, oh, what's going on? There we go. So I discovered, I played, and now I'm going to create something to show my teacher that I know what recycle, reduce, and reuse means. Or maybe my teacher gave me a prompt that said, give me an example of ways that we recycle, reduce, reuse at home. So I'm going to create a new one. And I'm going to call it recycling. All right, so I can't see the chat anymore, but curious to know how many of you have seen Make a Map before? Barbara, Robert, maybe you can give me a heads up if you see any answers coming in. This looks familiar to people. Oh, sorry, Barbara, I think you're on mute.
Sure am. If you have seen Make a Map, maybe just put a little hand up.
Yeah, good idea.
Lots of no's in the comments, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got lots of no's in the comments. We've got lots of hands popping up. So it looks like there is a split. So I'm going to show you what this looks like a little bit, and then definitely encourage you to play around with it on your own. So with Make a Map, you can actually watch the movie within the map. So again, louder than I expected, but I can take little snapshots from the movie and pull them into my map. So I might say here, I see Annie with a can. I might say, I recycle cans at home. And then you'll notice, like, when I spell it wrong, so I can always, like, I know I'm spelling it wrong. There we go. And then I can add in keywords over here. So maybe I want I've got recycle, reuse, reduce, and all of these things help us, I can say reducing helps us conserve, or a way to conserve is to reduce. And then maybe the middle node over here can be, what do I know about the three R's? And then I can make them all connect. And so this is just me, like, showing you what I know. I know that a way to conserve is to reduce, but reduce what? Maybe I want to add a picture of me reducing water, like I was saying earlier, maybe not using plastic bottles or recycling plastic bottles, maybe using a reusable water bottle. I have Annie's notebook here again. So I could have this too. And if you're a teacher, there's a couple of things that you can do. So you can assign a partially completed map to your students. So if I wanted to, I could, maybe I'll just get rid of all of this, and I'm going to pretend I'm a teacher now and assign a partially completed map. So I could just take this Annie's notebook and just send these questions to my students and, make them bigger. But I could send these out and, and I lost him. There we go. And then I could assign this. And then my students would go in and start adding images and adding text to answer my questions. So you can assign that and push it out, or you can just assign a blank canvas and have students show you what you know. The other thing that you could do is just have them watch the movie in the concept map. So in the classroom, a strategy that we suggest is using Make a Map as a KWL. So using it to think about like what you already know about the topic, and then adding on to it once you've learned something. And so this can still be applied when students are at home. You can have them watch the movie in a concept map and take notes, or you can just have them write what they know and then, share that with you depending on what you're using with communication. They can send it back to you, to your teacher dashboard, and maybe make a little like note when they are reflecting on it. So there's a few different ways to use it, but when we're thinking about Discover, Play, Create, this is a creation tool. Barbara, does someone have a question?
I was like, I don't know if this is the appropriate. There was also a question about templates.
Yes.
Can you assign a template?
So there is. Totally. So we've got templates here as well. So if you're having them this is like if you're having your students maybe think about making a movie, they can storyboard. If you want to do the spider map's always the safe one when you're just like brainstorming different things. But if you're thinking about a cycle, if you're thinking about like the life cycle of a frog or the life cycle of a butterfly, if that's something that you're doing in class right now, if you're a parent and your child was doing that in class, if they were talking about frogs, now you can revisit that topic together and start thinking about like, okay, well, what is the life cycle of a frog? So you can assign this to your students as well. I will give you a heads up though. You can't, there we go. You can't, so like if I'm talking about the life cycle of a frog, it doesn't snap into place. And that's by design. So you can lock it for sure. Oops, where did it go? So now it's locked into place, it can't move. But when your students are playing around with it, they just have to lay it on top. And that's just to give them freedom to add other things there. But they could definitely type in there, do the life cycle with the pictures. And then right now it says assign because I'm logged in as a teacher. But your student who you submit it to, or you assign it to rather, would be able to submit it. So that would say submit. Any other questions about Make a Map?
Nope. I just also want to reiterate to all the questions coming in about how to create a class that we will touch on it at the very end. I know it's pressing and sort of the logistical piece that's going to make all this happen, but we will definitely be touching on that at the end and then giving you a linking in another resource that Robert and I both put in the chat. So yeah, I wanted to name that.
Awesome. Any questions about what we've done so far? Anything that's come up that like maybe yeah, go ahead.
Quick question on adding links to the map. Can students add links or teachers add links to the map?
So that's a good question. You could probably, if you are typing and assigning a partially completed map, as a teacher, you could put in a URL. Like I could probably type here, like brainpop.com, but it won't hyperlink. So if you are, trying to add things in there, you can add it as text, but it's not going to.
The idea is we want students to keep within BrainPOP. We don't want them doing random searches or linking out. So, but they can search for any kind of image like Priya showed, has shown you, or any image, and more than likely there'll be an image there that fits.
Yeah, we like to think of BrainPOP as a walled garden. So you've got all the images, the text, the resources that you need to create something within BrainPOP. So like Robert said, you're not turning them loose on the interweb. Also spending like lots of time on image curation when that time could be spent on telling you what they know about a topic.
And
yeah.
for you, really quick, can you just talk about how a teacher would see what a student has completed?
Totally, yeah. So that's a good segue into the teacher dashboard, and then also setting up individual accounts. So that's awesome. So we're gonna go there. So right now I'm logged in. I'm actually going to, I'm gonna switch my school so that you can see my demo students, if it will let me do it easily. There we go. So I was in like an ELL school and there were no students there. So now I have students. So if I go into my teacher dashboard, this is my class. So I have math or demo class. These are some assignments that I've done or that I've assigned before. And I can see, I think I only assigned it. So it tells me like how many students have completed it, how many students haven't. So this is where I would see all the assignments. I can view my students. Looks like I just have myself right now. And then you can actually, if you click an assignment, you can view what that assignment would look like as a student. And so right now, because I just actually, maybe I can click one of my own assignments. If I go back to my class, if I had, let's look at this. So I'm not done this one, but if I was done this, it would say view work. And then you would see that concept map and you would see a little comment box. And so you could type in the comment box, like, great start. Remember to add in like 3 vocabulary words, or like maybe revisit this, and you can give feedback on the work. And then when you hit submit, your student on their end will be able to see your comment and make revisions and then send it to you again. And you'll see their original copy, and then beside it, you could hit next, and then you'll see the revised copy. So they can make changes and submit it to you, and you can actually see like the changes being made. Does that answer the question on like how it looks like as a student? Awesome. And you notice here it says copy assignment link. So earlier today, we have a certified BrainPOP educator who talked to us a little bit about how she uses this right now, because she is a technology specialist at her school, and she had to make a distance learning plan really quickly, as I'm sure a lot of you had to very quickly. And so they use Google Classroom, and she uses Assignment Builder on BrainPOP and then copies the assignment links into Google Classroom. And her students, when they log in, are able to see the assignment. And if I go back to, like, let's say I go back into science, talk about butterflies. If I go back into, let's say I want to assign this. So this is what the assignment builder looks like. So I want my students to I want them to watch the movie on butterflies, and then I want them to do a word play where they engage with the vocabulary, and then create a concept map. So if I hit next and then continue to hit next, and I pick my class, over here it says copy assignment link. So you can put this into Google Classroom as well. And then going back to individual accounts. So I'm in my teacher dashboard because everything that I've showed you today, you can watch the movie if you have the generic account. And if you have the concept map as a parent, you can print this concept map. So this one that I worked on, you can print it. If you go save, or if you're logged in as a student, you can hit print, but you can't submit it to a teacher because you have a home subscription. And if you have a generic account, you can't even do that because you don't have individual students creating assignments, submitting it to individual teachers. So that's why when we keep referring to individual accounts, we mean an account that's not the entire school using the same username and the entire school using the same password. And it really helps you customize the experience as a teacher for your class that way. So there are a couple of resources Barbara mentioned that we're going to share with you. So
yeah, I'm just going to say, if you have been asking about how to set up a class, this is the time.
Yes.
This is the answer.
Yes.
So,
and I might not give you all, I might not satisfy all the questions, but I will talk about it a little bit, and we might do some webinars in the future that are focused on just getting you set up and getting you ready to go. So a couple of things. So this is, it's the teacher dashboard. I can view my students. You will notice when I'm viewing my students here, I edit. If I go back. So I can, I added myself in manually. So I created like a little demo account for myself that was like Priya demo, and then I added myself manually. So what you would do if you, like I said earlier, if you had just signed up with BrainPOP through the free registration link, whoever set up the account would get an educator's code. So you would enter the code there, and then you would, the first thing you'd have to do is set up teacher accounts. And once you set up teacher accounts, then the teachers can start setting up classes, and then they can import a CSV with their students' names and usernames. And then they would have to then add they have to create the class and add those students to the class. And I know that's a lot of information all at once. So this is a really helpful resource that Barbara and Robert will pop in the chat. It's from our help center. And so here you have like step-by-step instructions on how to set up. So right here, this is what I was referring to. So you enter the code and then you go through this process. Now, if you're already a BrainPOP subscriber and you use Google in your classroom and you use Clever or an LMS, our onboarding and subscriber relations team can help support you with setting up those individual accounts through single sign-on and integrating BrainPOP into what you already have. We do, just to give you a heads up, have a massive backlog because we have like an unprecedented amount of people interested, and we're closed, and or schools are closed rather. So if you do have an existing subscription and you have Google or Clever and you want to get that set up, you email info@brainpop.com, and Robert and Barbara will put that email address in the chat. So info, awesome, @brainpop.com. In the meantime, though, if you're waiting for your individual accounts to be set up, you can still save these activities and do them offline. So you can still post them onto Google Classroom. So if we go back into science, animals, butterflies, I want to talk about it. So you can still tell your students to watch the movie, and then you can have them do this. I can print this and save it as a PDF, and then your students you can like upload it to Google Classroom, and your students can still work on it. So I would say still try to take advantage of ways to engage with content beyond the movies without the individual accounts. And then once you have your individual account set up, that's like perfect and ideal. And very quickly, like just to give you an example of, so like I said earlier, we had a certified BrainPOP educator talk to us today about what she's doing with her students. And so she is teaching, well, she's working with an 8th grade class. And so she used that assignment link that I was talking about and had the students watch the movie. And then she had a follow-up activity within BrainPOP and just push that out. And then they're going to submit that back to their teacher. And, the feedback loop will continue. So that's like, ideal. And once you have your individual account set up, you'll be ready to go with that. Any questions? I know, again, it was a lot because our time together isn't as long as we would, like it to be, because there's so much to cover.
Really quickly, sorry. Yeah. Really quickly, you will get there. This webinar is being recorded.
Yes.
So like Priya said, we just did in 34 minutes, what is usually like a 3-hour workshop.
Yeah.
So one, we know that this is a lot. So go back and watch the recording. You'll get a link to it after the session is closed. So just so you know, this isn't sort of like, if I didn't catch it, I can't see it again. Don't worry about it. Go back.
Yeah. definitely go back, rewind, pause, like find those links. We've also got resources on educators.brainpop.com. So, if you're like, okay, that's all great, but like, how do I use this for a specific topic? If you go to, so there's a couple of ways to get to educators. If you click Moby's head and click BrainPOP educators, you're taken to this site. This site's just for you. Teachers and parents, you can use this too. So if you click school to home connection over here, this is where our team has created activity guides for you. So if you go to K to second grade, the lesson that I did today on recycle, reduce, reuse, that's from here. So we've got, what to do before the movie, during the movie, after the movie, and there's some SEL. And we've got kids in the kitchen, science beyond the kitchen. There's some reading, art room. And so the lesson that I did was right over here, Save the Earth. I did it like really quickly, but this is where if you want to revisit some of those links to find those activities that I was showing you, they're linked over here in this doc. That's designed just for you, parents and teachers. So that's one place that you can revisit those sources.
So maybe to pretty much wrap up, I think Joan Fournier asked a question in the Q&A a little while back. Just her concern is that she is concerned about assigning something new that hasn't been taught in class. So she's just asking our thoughts on that. And I think this is just like as Barbara said, these are uncharted times. As a teacher, we have to be concerned about, access to the internet and time and what's going on in the families. But, some teachers are choosing to review. What I like about BrainPOP, and then I'll let Priya and Barbara share their opinions too. I think it's neat that BrainPOP, a teacher can direct it, but you can also have your students, it can be student directed, so you may spark an interest at the bottom of all the BrainPOP movies. There in junior movies, there's like related movies. So
totally.
It's one of those where not just a teacher leading it, but a student can be self-guided too.
Definitely. If we're in, let's say we're going to go in here. If you go down here, you can see related topics. So right now we're in butterflies, and then down here is frogs, classifying animals. And so that's one way to start discovering new topics. Sorry, Barbara, were you saying something?
No, it's okay. There was just a comment in the chat, but it's also been something that's come up before where Jean said that her district is saying, don't introduce anything new, only remediate. And that's actually something that we've read and heard, that districts are really varying in what and how the distance learning is looking and or how it's happening and what contents to be covered. So if you are sort of under guidance to not cover anything new, awesome. You've got a pathway to do that. If that is not part of your guidance, awesome. Explore away.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think too, just even, this for parents, it's like teachers, can push assignments out and do that. But, the parents are the ones who have to live with them, so this is something that, they can sit down at the kitchen table and talk about or watch the movies together and discuss. Definitely, check out those lesson plans, parents, teachers, let them know about those lesson plans. There's lots of ideas, especially on junior. There's a lot of homeschool connection links on there.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just we'll stick around for a couple of minutes to answer any lingering questions, direct you to resources that you need.
And just know that that initial page that you signed up for this webinar, just kind of check back in there next week. We are coming up with new ideas for future webinars, webcasts, not just on content, but Barbara's going to be leading some on mindfulness next week. So
Yeah.
definitely a variety of things to occupy teachers, parents, and students.
Yeah, just to plug for next week. And we've been hearing this a lot, even just internally from our folks who are working from home, teaching their own kids, and then, juggling all the things that we know that this is super stressful for students. And so really just also giving kids some time to explore, like in naming stress and some mindfulness techniques using BrainPOP tools, features, resources. So it's pressing, it's present. And that's coming next week. And again, like Robert said, the more feedback we get from you around the specific things that you would like some support in, if when there's a mass of that, we'll definitely use that as a guidance for webinar topics in the future too.
Yeah, you'll get the eval when you exit out of the chat today. And so definitely in that eval, let us know what you want to see. We want to create webinars that you need. So let us know.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. But lots of accolades coming through, but we appreciate the the trust that families and teachers are giving with BrainPOP. So and we hope to keep them busy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm glad we got to chat even for a little bit, and I hope we see you again at our future webinars. And I hope that you take advantage of all these resources for your planning. If you have any questions for our team, you can email us at educators@brainpop.com. So it's EDUCATORS, plural, educators@brainpop.com. So
check that website too. Educators.brainpop.com for all those resources.
Yeah. So, I know the website's educators.brainpop.com, and then the email address is educators@brainpop.com. Now I know why I always get them confused.
We're getting lots of thank yous, lots of
a
thank you from Istanbul.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Glad we could help.
Yes, Cynthia, it will be on YouTube. It actually should be there right now because we were live streaming. So if you go there, you can see us there if you missed us.
You subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'd be notified right away.
There was a quick question about sharing BrainPOP if students don't have a computer.
Mm-hmm.
There are on the educators page 2 lesson resources that are structured so that students can move through them with BrainPOP online, but also offline. So it's a print and go packet, because we know that not everybody has access to a computer or access to the internet. And so really from an equity place, we wanted to make sure that, I think it's under distance learning.
Yeah, it is. So it's on that same page. If that you're going to check the K-2 lessons out from, it's right here, distance lesson plans. And so like Barbara was saying.
Can you just scroll down? So again, this is around the Earth because Earth Day, it's pretty universal. But if you see on the left-hand side, it's the sort of much like Priya framed it, the discover or beginning of the lesson, engage, middle of the lesson, or play, and then create. But again, on the left-hand side is the online activities, and on the right-hand side are offline activities that we've paired. So we turned the movie into a transcript with images so that kids who don't have access to a computer can have the same or as much of the same experience as their peers.
So there's a little packet at the bottom where you can see they can still go through that same journey, that same learning journey with as their peers offline. And if you want to learn more about this, we have our distance learning webinar archived where we talk about this. So you can check that out as well.
And there was a request just for that website again. If you go to educators.brainpop.com and then go to, sorry, my Q&A is in the way.
Educators.brainpop.com.
Homeschool connection. And you can find the online, offline versions in the distance learning lessons. Great.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Right. And again, be sure to check back to that webinar page. And
Yes.
there's already some listed for next week. So
Yeah.
go ahead and get signed up for those, and we will be adding to that living list, day by day, week by week.
Yeah, there were just, sorry, last that. There were also some questions about, can people share this webinar?
I believe so. Yeah. So if they go to YouTube and they find the link, then they can share that link.
Yeah. And even when you guys get the linked email, share it.
Yeah.
And
share the webinar registration page, because we're adding things to there. And so maybe there might be something of interest for one of your colleagues down the road. And like we said, Barbara is doing 2 webinars on mindfulness. So we're going to focus on junior and BrainPOP. So that's exciting.
And share your stories. Many of you are like surprised on all these offerings here and some creative ways to use these with your students and families. So if you have successes, trials or tribulations, be sure to share those, with us. You can email them to, educators@brainpop.com, social media. You can just tag @brainpop. But yeah, definitely we'd like to hear, how it's going out there.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again. We're gonna sign off, but we hope to see you in the other webinar soon.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.